Welcome back to Nerdy Geeky Freaky, the podcast for all you nerds, geeks, and freaks. Today we're going to be talking about Batman, but with me always is Mike, and we have our special guest, our buddy Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, Jeff.
How's it going?
Going good. How you doing, N.G.F?
Fantastic.
All right. Yeah, and as we're talking about, the movie hasn't even actually come out in full theaters other than the fan... What is it called?
Today is March 1st as we're recording this, and today was the special fan screening at IMAX theaters exclusively.
So we got to watch it a couple days in advance. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, I have to say, what a terrific movie.
Yes.
It was awesome.
And forewarning, we will release this podcast
pretty much
days after the movie releases wide, but we will be talking in full spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie at this point, definitely put the podcast on pause and then come back to it later.
Pause it. We're going to be going into deep dives of what we liked. Very few things that maybe we thought could be refined, but other than that, I would say a solid movie. But yes, if you have not seen the movie by the time you're listening to this, please go watch this movie. It's amazing.
I want to go see it again.
Yeah, so do I.
We'll probably release this day of, like, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So people have seen it. But we want to get this out with everybody else, obviously. And we're going to try to put it up on our YouTube. We'll just put some still photos or something.
Yeah, it's going to be
so you can
no
listen
video,
to it either. Yeah.
No video with this one. We didn't have time to set up the video for it, but we
Plus
are.
it's late. We saw a late showing, so it is late.
We look a little ragged. We're not camera ready.
But overall, oh my gosh, I'd go as a bold statement from my end because we're barely 2 months in, but this is movie of the year for me so far.
Yeah, I would say the same. Yeah, it's so far. Like, I mean, nothing really hit me in the beginning of the year to be like, oh yeah, this movie of the year. This far it takes the cake big time.
What is it? You got January, and February wasn't very strong in movies.
No, it wasn't. Uncharted, which we'll talk about later on.
Yeah,
Not
we'll do a brief talking perhaps about Uncharted. That's the only other movie I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of other movies, but nowhere near the level of Batman. The Batman was a very, very good film and
amazing film. He's
amazing. It was great.
It's fantastic. We're still on a high.
Yeah.
I wanted to go bungee jumping afterwards. I still want to go. Let's go.
I want to go. What's it called? Wingsuit flying like Batman did.
I will definitely, as you said, go watch it again. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in a bit more comfort. We watched it in the IMAX theater, which is a bit more of an upright seating.
We were shoulder to shoulder with some strangers.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a little bit more comfort with the luxury seatings these days, where you can recline. But we went to old school style.
Yeah, we roughed it, but we enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, great watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. Oh my god, it was a 3-hour movie that didn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
I don't know if you guys really didn't. It really did not feel like 3 hours.
Yeah, and it was a lot of world building. That's what I really liked about it. Like, they really went all in on this world that we were viewing for the first time, and it was just amazing how they set everything up and how realistic it felt too. Yeah, like it felt like more real than the Dark Knight trilogy did.
I'd go as far as say the world building is the thing I appreciate about it the most, that I really enjoyed, was it was a familiar subject but not a familiar style. Like it's totally different from anything you've seen thus far. I mean, of any Batman series.
When you watch a movie that's good, but you're like, God, if that had just been a little bit longer, if they could have just taken their time. This movie took its time, and it was so worth it.
So much so that someone got upset at how long it was taking.
It is. I don't want to say a slog, but it is a long movie, and it is paced in a style that is a storytelling style. Yeah. So if you don't like being, I don't want to say led, but a story told to you visually, and by just emotional cues and established lore, as you said, like it's just being told to you, shown to you, everything. Yeah. It is a perfect story, I want to say, being told to you.
Yeah. Matt Reeves, the director, definitely wasn't treating the audience as stupid. Yeah. He was very much so not holding our hands throughout the whole movie, just letting the visuals speak, like you said, the visuals speak for itself and tell the story without.
Because it's amazing to see. I mean, yes, we did have someone in the audience about 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. He stormed out, really upset, cursing kind of thing, saying the movie's boring and blah blah blah. Which is, I feel, is an unfair assessment. Maybe an hour in, I would have been like, it's not going anywhere, I'm leaving. It was like to leave that early.
Yeah. I mean, the movie hadn't even, the
opening scene itself was like,
fantastic.
It set the tone for the entire movie because it really what I loved about it is it made Batman out to seem like a horror villain, like a horror monster.
Well, that's what I said. It's the perfect balance of thriller and.
It's like a detective thriller. It
detective thriller mixed in with the what am I thinking
of? Noir superhero movie.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even really call it a superhero movie.
That doesn't feel right.
Well, I was losing the word because it's just like I'm tired. Graphic novel. It's a very on-screen graphic novel. Like I owe it to a bit of Watchmen. You got the thriller essence of Seven in there.
You're gonna get a real
Seven and like I said, the pacing of a movie like Blade Runner, where some people can't get through movies like that are all exposition and there is some action. Obviously, there is quite a bit of action throughout the movie, but it's actually spaced out. I want to say just enough.
Yeah, and like I said, it feels very much like a horror movie because like the Riddler, it's himself. Like that opening scene with the Riddler's first victim being the mayor, and just like that horror vibe. Like he's just standing in the room, watching him. Is like. That's
Here
where
comes
Matt.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
We've been actually kind of pretty vague without going too much, but we're gonna start going into detail.
Yeah.
And stuff.
But Matt Reeves really showed his horror roots in this movie. Like he understood that Batman and the Riddler are sort of like the horror movie villains and the criminals and the people who they perceive as their victim. Well, I wouldn't really call them. Well, for Batman, I wouldn't really call them the victims, but for Riddler, his victims like. He's his
targets.
Yeah, his targets. There you go. Yeah.
See, I got more. I mean, I could see where you could draw a bit of like the horror idea, but I got more because I've watched all the original things like Twisted and like I said, Seven and like Mindhunters and stuff like that. So to me, it was more of a thriller feel to it.
See, I get detective mystery vibes when I watched it, like a Mike Hammer kind of novel.
But I guess that's what makes it great is everyone gets their own. You can pull from anything, and you can be like, it's so much like this, and you can have it like be that told to you. But which is, I love movies that can do that because you see it as that. I see it as this. He sees it as that. It's three different opinions on how we saw the movie, how it spoke to us. And that's
exactly.
And none of us are wrong, honestly. I don't think because I can see what you're talking about, Mike. I can see what you're talking about, Adrian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then like,
and hands down, oh my gosh. Kudos to Robert Pattinson. Seriously, I hope this gets him out of the. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I've seen a lot of his indie stuff. He's been out of the shadow of the whole Twilight thing and everything like that.
Yeah, I'm same here. That's why I knew he was going to do good in this role because I saw movies like Good Time and
like it's funny because
that's the limo.
When did that end?
No, that's the Cosmopolis is the limo one.
Oh, okay.
Like, is Twilight's like 8 years old? It's gotta be.
Ended in 20. I think the last one came out in.
At least it's got to be almost 10 years old by now.
I think it came out around the same time as The Dark Knight Rises, so about 10 years.
So I'm just saying it's funny because even in my own family they're like, "Oh, is the guy from Twilight?" And I'm like, "Robert Pattinson?"
Mm-hmm.
See me, I've seen his work afterwards, and I'm like, "Yeah, he's a good actor." It's hard to break yourself from a stigma like that, but to hear people like, even when I watch people watching the trailer, they're like, "Go Twilight, go!" And I'm like, dude, that's like 10 years ago. That's like me if I play like a Power Ranger and be like, "Hey, go Red Ranger." I'm like, dude, that was like 20 years ago, man.
Right.
Why are you still calling me? I ain't the Red Ranger, you know?
Yeah, let's talk about the Green Ranger. Then
that guy lives his life on that, and he's earned that.
Yeah, he has. But no, I mean, it was a very.
But man, he did fantastic.
He did very good.
He's a great Batman.
What I loved about it too is like he's in the suit like pretty much the entire movie.
Yes. The detective part, that's where it really comes into play. As he played Batman, it was the first time I actually seen a Batman using detective skills.
The world's greatest detective. I've always wanted, and I've said this, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I wanted the Riddler to be the main villain because I wanted to see Batman use his intellect. You know?
Well, and that's why I like he's going around crime scenes, he's noticing stuff, and I like the person taking the photos of all the crime scenes. She goes and follows him and starts taking photos of what he's looking at. I love that little cue right there. Yeah. He's like, "What did you find?" "Oh, yeah." And yeah, it showed how smart he is. And I love that it's kind of, I don't want to say an Easter egg, but in a sense when he's writing in his book about his day-to-day. And I love the thing where he has the camera in his eye. Mm-hmm. Spoiler. That's awesome. It's like he goes back and looks at his day stuff and he takes notes. And I like how on the book it says year 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's a total ode to like your year one.
Yeah. And I love that it was told through voiceover to give you that kind of comic book feel and classic noir thing too, where it's like, because like it harkens back to the comic books of his internal monologue is what's narrating the story in front of you, and you're seeing his inner thoughts as he's solving crimes. So it's like they're doing the exact same thing in a visual format, and they finally, and I never even thought about that like until I heard the voiceover for the first time when he's like he's saying it's October 31st and he's like going over it. I'm like, we've never seen that in a Batman movie before. There's never been an internal monologue, and I'm like, that is straight out of the comics. I can't believe nobody's ever done that before.
It's like the little box things that pop in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's the internal monologue. But anyways, what were you saying earlier?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Oh no, that was I liked how kind of nitty gritty everything was. The eye lenses were the most advanced thing he used.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Yeah. Everything else was kind of.
It's like an ode to the animated series in a sense.
Yes.
It was like a time frozen where they were using Tommy guns, but he had a plane, like a bat jet, and all that stuff. So it's like. Yeah. So which is it? You guys in the 1960s or you guys in the early 90s?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love how everything on him minus the eye lens, like you're saying, like that was the most advanced thing, but everything else just seemed like it didn't seem like Wayne tech. It just seemed like stuff that he was able to procure.
He cobbled together. He found here and there, found it useful.
Yeah.
Or the body armor is probably a close second because that thing has to be advanced in order to stand up.
That has to be Wayne tech. Yeah, that has to be like. So it very much has like elements of Christopher Nolan's trilogy, but it puts its own spin on it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that the idea is it's made from like the metal Teflon, like that metal, because when he's walking, I love the sound of him walking, like when he does the close up of his feet, and it almost sounds kind of like westerny because it sounds like not spurs, but it's like that metal clink. He's like,
you're right. Yeah.
It's like very not robotic, but you can hear the armor kind of shifting as he walks.
And that's another thing that they kind of turn on its head a little bit. The classic, Batman he's a ninja, so he's like always sneaking around, like you don't even see him coming. Where they turn it on its head, where you hear him coming, and that's the fear that is struck into the criminals, like
because you're looking in the dark and all you hear is the footsteps coming.
Like we go back to the opening scene. What I loved about it the most was when all the criminals who are going about doing crime, they look up and they see the bat signal, and then they
glance
look
into the dark alley, or the like, dark doorway, and you're just like,
crap,
he could be standing right there for all I know, coming for me. Mm-hmm. And I liked his dialogue in that part. He's just like, I can't be everywhere, but they don't know that. Yeah. Fear. They're all filled with fear, and they thinking that it could be my night.
Yeah, it's not showing fear, kind of like the Nolan movies. It was like, where are you? Here. Ah! Mm-hmm. It's like it's real instilled. Instilled fear.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like that thing. You watch a scary movie, you go out and walk out in the dark, out to your car right now. Yeah. In your head, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie that scares you, it's gonna be in your head. Mm-hmm. It's like, ooh. Somebody could be waiting for me, and it's like that.
That's what Batman is in this movie. Yeah, he's the like I keep saying, he's the horror movie villain.
But you could picture being in that world. It's like here's an actual person whooping our asses out, beating people to. Paul. And that first action scene was great, even though the trailer obviously gave a lot away on that end, but it was still great to watch.
That's why you only watch one trailer once,
although it was still fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Ride.
Was it funny that they toned down the actual beating though? Because it sounds like so much more brutal in the trailer.
It does, yeah.
But it still looks amazing, and I liked how he took them all on.
Mm-hmm. What I really liked too is it showed early on that the fear he's instilling in the criminals is actually reverberating onto the citizens, because the guy he saves is like, "Don't hurt me," because he's like,
They didn't do Ben Affleck. I'm not the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. I was like, I kind of thought he was going to say something, but I liked that he didn't say anything. He just looked at him and was just like...
He didn't say... He talks enough, but he doesn't... he's not bantering. Yeah. He doesn't banter.
Yeah.
Which he
says just enough.
There's no suiting up scene, which I'm totally okay with. he's the Dark Knight. He's he's
Still trying to figure out how he did that. Just lugging around all that gear.
Wayne Tech.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. He's Batman. No.
Which makes you wonder, because he does have a slim frame compared to most Batman that have donned the cowl and cape and everything. But I like that the armor it's very fitted to him. So it actually makes sense that he could either be wearing it under what he's wearing, or it's just like, just snap on, just pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because looking at it, looks like kind of plated mail armor a little bit, especially around the shoulder.
I love the look of the armor.
Yeah.
Very, very Arkham.
A strap or two.
Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
City.
Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Arkham Knight. And what was that one I said? I love this cape with the collar. Very.
Oh, Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah, Gotham by Gaslight. I love the design of the collar. It fit perfectly with his design and how his helmet looked, or his cowl looks. It's just awesome.
And finally, we see a Batman take his cowl off, and the smudge is there. The eye smudge.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was a great detail to be like, and it showed him at the beginning putting it on. He's like putting on the.
What I really liked too was that they, even when he, like you guys were saying, he's carrying the suit around, when he's not doing Batman stuff, he's like.
He's still investigating.
Yeah, he's still investigating.
He looks like a hobo. He's undercover.
Yeah, it gave me that animated series vibe. Except in the animated series, Batman dons like a fake beard and everything else, but he's just in plain sight, hiding in plain sight, and it makes sense that he would be able to
I like the way they did it too. Yeah, he's a guy on a bike. He's wearing a helmet that's got a full cover, so you don't know it's him.
Yeah, you don't look twice at him.
Or when he's walking around, he's got a hood up, a hat, a scarf thing over his face.
It's Gotham City. It's never not raining or overcast.
And I liked it. They say it looks very ode to New York in the bad parts, or L.A. in the bad parts too. At night. It's not pretty.
It's not.
No, I really like this Gotham.
I mean, this is gonna be all on Rob Pratt. I mean, there's so many great actors that have been in it, but obviously it's gonna be talking about him first. I mean, it's his movie.
Yeah.
And again, I do appreciate that it is a Batman movie, and there's a lot of Batman.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the big criticisms of even Christopher Nolan's trilogy. It's like Batman's in a lot in Dark Knight, and he's in it a lot. I would say enough in Batman Begins, but he's definitely not in it enough in Dark Knight Rises. This one, he's constant. Even when he's out of the suit, he's still Batman, and that's the one thing that I feel like none of the movies ever really captured before. Was he's always Batman.
Yeah, there wasn't tons of cutaway this is what the police are doing right now, or this is what she's doing right now. Everything that it cut to had something to do with him.
There was no scene. Yeah, there was no scene wasted.
I want to say very few scenes with him not in it, other than cutting to Selena doing one thing here or there when she went to go talk. But he's around trying to get to where they are. So everything had to do with him being there, whether it jumped to the criminals or whatever.
And I love his first interaction with the Penguin, when he storms he
storms the club. He just straight up walks in. I like that.
What I loved was the line that he gave the twins. He's like, you want to get blood on that suit? Mine or yours? He's just I'm like,
he just tones them both.
That's Batman.
And he's going through, just rocking. But I like how he's just walking through the club too. This is a Batman that doesn't care if you see him.
Yeah, well,
at
it's
that
year
point.
2. Yeah, it's year 2. He's not.
He's just walking through that club, just someone go beat some ass. Don't touch me. And the guy's touching him. He's whooping some ass.
Yeah.
And he is taking hits. But it's like a hit that someone that's wearing gear could be like, yeah, you're hitting me, but I'm gonna just bounce right back and just pop you good.
Yeah. And I loved his interaction with the Penguin because it's
great.
The Penguin. Colin Farrell did such a good job disappearing into that role. I love Penguin.
Wouldn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
And he did it so well.
Yeah, he totally Penguin is the mafioso. He's the consigliere from if in Godfather terms, he's not really the boss.
Right?
Yeah, he's not really the boss, but
he's the lackey to Falcone, or he's the second to Falcone.
Yeah, yeah, and but you could tell he's.
And I did appreciate that they went into the lore of the whole Falcone and Maroni and all that stuff, two rival gang aspects and stuff like that. I mean, it was mainly about Falcone. It wasn't nothing to do with really Maroni. Really, was he gone by then? I forget.
Maroni, yeah, he was gone.
He was gone by then.
Although I would say that they could have dragged on the whole subplot of Bruce being Bruce thinking that his father was a bad guy and got someone killed, which was also another Easter egg. I don't know if you caught it. His name was I forgot his first name, but Elliot, and they said
Thomas
Hush.
Elliot.
No, it wasn't Thomas Elliot, because Thomas Elliot is
his father.
It is the son, and his father is the Elliot who they hushed.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, they're hinting at Hush now, that Thomas Elliot might show up in a future sequel, and we'll get to
There's a lot of people that really want to see Hush at some point.
Yeah.
Well,
there's so much
Riddler,
to draw
hopefully,
on there.
yeah, they're really. I mean, like, he has such a wide. I mean, that's why most people like Batman, is because of his
rogues gallery.
Yeah, his
I was
rogues
gonna
gallery.
say the biggest thing everyone was talking about is the rogues gallery. They're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, just
And
you
we've
could
seen-
spin that wheel and just be like, who are we gonna land on? Perfect.
Yeah, and
Make a movie about him.
You can take what they did with the Riddler was just fantastic. You didn't get terrorist vibes. You got what did you get? You got scary vibes. This guy was.
I'd say good first villain for this iteration of Batman.
Yeah.
Not like really well done, really well structured.
And somehow they managed to do that whole thing where he's like later on when the big reveal happens and he has a bunch of followers and his message to his followers, like even though it was obviously played for a joke, they still managed to steer it from the funny to the to the serious and the terrible.
Because you start
That's just
realizing
some
that
nerd.
it's a real thing that happens. People put together stuff like this, so it's like, oh, that's
It's like, hey guys.
it's
And
an
the
ode
way-
to
and the way
this. Yeah,
It just built to that. You don't notice until you're at the very top, about to go down, like on a roller coaster. Like, whoa, when did this change? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So and then and the riddles themselves were really like not. They weren't like.
there's always a lot of people that are
brain
like, I
teasers.
figured out the first one so easy, and I'm like, yeah, well,
But I don't think that was the point. He
they
wasn't.
don't want you to sit there and be like,
Yeah.
hold on, let me figure it out before they say it. No, they want you to kind of get along with it and kind of figure it out along with them and be like, wait, oh, this.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna be the only one who didn't like his eccentric voice choices, like during certain dialogue
When he
scenes.
got
Like,
emotional.
Well, they did
Yeah.
I don't want to say quirky, but they did the whole, as you said, the eccentric kind of like, I'm crazy. And
But
then
it
I had
would
the
be-
outburst, but I like that because he's kind of off tilt.
but I will say it just goes to show that if you have a good villain, that kind of stuff you can kind of like.
It's a secondary thing. It doesn't
Because
take away from the movie.
That was one of the things that people always criticize in Batman v Superman about Lex Luthor was when he did his like, like But then again, you're looking at two completely different characters. You don't expect that from Lex Luthor, so it's off-putting. But you do kind of expect that from the Riddler.
True. But I do still appreciate. I still would like to see, would have seen, because they're probably not gonna do it now, was the Riddler from the animated series, the original portion of the animated series when it first came out. I like that Riddler. I wish I would have seen that one, but this one was still good, great. I want to say, but that's why I said he's a good first.
And he actually was actually one step ahead of Batman.
Yeah.
Like he was outsmarting Batman like at every turn because he
Well, that was always the point of Riddlers. He's very intelligent, but he still in some way misses the big picture himself. Because I like the whole dialogue with him. I'm trying to stick back with Bruce. I like when he's saying the name because I'm like, how did he figure out who he is? And then I'm like thinking, I don't think he knows who. I think he's saying Bruce, but he's like fixated on him because he didn't kill him and blah blah blah. And then that's what it was. And I was like, because I was thinking like, how does he know? And how's he just giving out this intel? And he's just standing there like listening to him say his name over and over again.
He's like, it's
and
done.
then you realize,
Batman's done.
but then you realize, oh, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's Bruce. All right.
He's like you say, he's just fixated on the fact that he didn't kill Bruce. It's like because he resents Bruce because they,
But that was always Riddler's thing is he focuses so much on one thing and wants to prove that he's the smartest person in the room. But and even he will miss certain things.
See, I like that they didn't exactly do that. He's very intelligent, but the whole "I'm smarter than everybody" thing is kind of like a little bit old. Like
He was just doing what he was doing, and he was getting away with it all. But it was so well done. It was like it was all planned out, step by step. He already knew where it was going to end, and technically it did succeed.
Focused, he did take focused violence is what I think he said. He called it.
and he's like because he was doing the exact same thing Batman was doing, but he was just doing it to the extreme. Where and I love like they perfectly encapsulated Batman's one role. Like, you know, like that's always been like the big criticism of the movies in the past is like Batman doesn't kill, but they always criticize because he does eventually kill by proxy. And
Yeah.
I guess he was in a little bit at the end, like when he was fighting those people, but they were, you know, he wasn't throwing them off of that railing.
See, the way I see it is he can't stop bullets, and they're shooting.
Yeah.
If somebody gets hit because of what they're doing, is that Batman's fault?
I mean, pretty much I didn't see anyone die, per
Yeah.
se.
I didn't see anyone get hit
They
by
were
it.
all roped in, so I mean,
Yeah.
and great fighting. You know, going back, I'm gonna stick with Batman for a while. We can go into everybody else, but those fighting sequences were really great and spaced out, but still great
Even
when they came
Catwoman's
out.
fight. So
Yeah, they
fights were
they
good.
changed her up. Her fighting style, you can believe. She's a very athletic, fast, tiny woman.
The one thing I appreciate, this can transition into Zoe Kravitz.
Kravitz. Yeah.
And yeah, fantastic Selena Kyle. Actually, I was a little worried at first because I'm like, untested person, but she is a great actress. I've seen her in a lot of stuff, but you know, kind of a tall order sometimes to play an iconic character.
Oh yeah.
But I like that they didn't. It didn't take too long for them to come to terms with each other. There was no like, I'm gonna stab you in the back type thing, or screw you, blah blah blah. They actually clicked right off the bat, and I like that because that's how it actually was.
Yeah. And it was their chemistry was pretty intense, and they're like right off the bat, it's like, you're pretty good at that, and then they just start fighting right away, and then like, you know, he basically like he finally like gives in and helps her to try to find her friend, and then even that whole thing was pretty well fleshed out, the whole thing, her friend, and
which I was waiting for that turn to be like, oh, she's actually playing you. No, it was just she was just
I like
a
that
thief.
she wasn't about
she wasn't part of the gang or part of this.
She didn't get off on tricking the Batman
she was just
double
she was
playing
just
him.
doing her own thing, and she happened to be a thief that was an exceptional thief and fighter and blah blah blah. But they didn't dive too much into the whole thievery thing. She just kept talking about how she does it, but they didn't show like her getting into tons of stuff.
I mean, that was like, well, like you said, they don't, but they show it. They show her with her gear. They show her, getting around. They showed. They didn't tell.
Yeah.
They showed.
Yeah, and they kind of hinted at the fact that she's probably going to go abroad, and I wonder if she's going to be back for a sequel, or if they're planning like something like separate for her. Because I was hearing rumblings that they're planning like a whole slew of spin-offs and like solo movies, and I think Catwoman was going to be one of those that they're considering doing. Yeah.
I'd say I know they want to wait to see how well this movie does. I think for one it's going to do very great, but I've also been wrong in that sense. But it is Batman, so I think it's already, like I said, has a bit of a free pass on that sense. Not saying it should in the sense like, it should just automatically get a secondary because it's Batman. No.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
how great the movie is going to help the fact that it is still a Batman, a well-known property that everyone loves.
But what I will say is, for a future sequel, what I kind of want for the second sequel at least, maybe, and then they can go back on it on the third, just because I kind of want the second sequel to be more about like Batman becoming the Bruce Wayne persona, and so I kind of I don't want a love interest for that one. Like, I know in the comics, like they go back and forth from he's in a relationship with Selena Kyle, and then Vicky Vale is a big one in the comics, I think, and then obviously the Tim Burton Batman movie that's one they haven't touched on in a while, so they could bring her back in a way. But
if I were to lean more into someone comic book wise, it would be fun because they're talking about how Robert Pattinson wanted to do like the Court of Owls and all that stuff, and they can even dab back into the League of Shadows. It would be Talia done right. No offense to Christopher Nolan, but that Talia was...
Yeah, that wasn't Talia.
Yeah,
that wasn't a good Talia.
No.
But I would like to see that whole camaraderie thing of him or that love between him and Talia.
Yeah, and
that was actually always really good. But even
I want a Ra's al Ghul that's going to call him detective. Like that, I just love that. I love the like.
It'd be interesting to see if they do go that way and where they'd go in that one. I mean, although some people would say, "Oh, they can't do that because they've already done anything." I'd be like, "Yeah, but they did Joker, and Joker's been done too."
Yeah.
So, I know some people want to see Freeze done right. That would be awesome.
I would very much enjoy that.
But I would say that's like a third movie for me.
I think I was telling you this during the Uncharted before Uncharted started, but like when one of the fan castings that I'm not one for fan casting, and I because most of the time fans get it wrong, but this one when they threw it out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold. Mads Mikkelsen as Dr. Freeze. Or Mr. Freeze, not Dr. Freeze. Well, he is Dr. Freeze, Dr. Victor Freeze, but he's Mr. Freeze but I do want them to tackle Mr. Freeze because he needs a redemption already from the live action.
But we'll see what they're gonna do on that.
See, I don't know if Mr. Freeze can exist in this.
Well, I was about to follow that up by saying I don't know how they would do that.
Well, Matt Reeves has said in an interview that Mr. Freeze is one of the villains that he is considering. He hasn't officially, made it official. And then with the tease at the end, I kind of feel like that's the route they're going to go for the sequel. We'll touch on that in a little bit, but he has suggested Court of Owls, and so is Robert Pattinson in interviews. So
because I think that can ground it in a bit more of in the world they built.
I feel like that's more third movie kind of thing.
Court of Owls?
Yeah, Court of Owls. Like it could the second movie. Yeah, the second movie can start putting the breadcrumbs for that because it's so like.
Well, I see what you're saying. Like because the Court of Owls, I haven't read it in a while, and even then it was spotty. It's about Bruce Wayne and like the elites of.
It's about the Waynes.
Yes.
The Waynes come from like a long line of like the Court of Owls are basically like the top 1% who really control the. It's like a secret society.
Yeah, and then you could build more Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne was nothing in this. He was a hunched over. He just. And not in a bad way. It's just he wasn't the confident, rich playboy.
He's the way he was when he returned back to Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before he decided to take on the playboy persona.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what you got from this movie.
That would be good.
Bruce,
that would work.
Bruce was very much that. But to get back to the movie and stuff like that, I mean, it's just, like I said, I want to say perfectly paced. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why some people say it really doesn't feel like a almost 3-hour movie.
It's a story being told. It was a really good story.
And you have to pay attention. There was not a point other than the fact that our theater had, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's millennial things. May sound really old at this point. Please stop getting up during the movie. At least 13 to 14 people got up throughout the movie.
And I never took my eyes off 3 or 4 times.
I never took my eyes off the screen, and I'm like,
man, do you guys have like the bladder of an infant or something?
Or the intention of an infant. I'm like, how can you walk out on a movie like this? Yeah. These are not. No offense. It's a fan. Was it fan
screening?
A fan screening.
Yeah.
You expect it to be fans there, and I feel like these were just people that are like, I want to go for the clout and just be like.
And sadly, we got there early because even though we have assigned seating, we still wanted to kind of get settled into the theater, and then in case I wanted to go get snacks, but I chose against it because I'm like, you know what, I'm too snacky, and I didn't want to ruin it. So, but people just were coming in at 15 minutes after the movie started.
Yeah,
I'm the hell? Mm-hmm. You should have been here at 7 o'clock.
Like, if I'm a fan person thing, I'm going with people that are constant out or really just there for the movie.
Mm-hmm. Although,
because I'm a fan. I was there for the movie. Yeah. I was excited. And it was one of the first times I've never been to one of these, but it was one of the first times I was actually legit, almost like waiting for it to be on a ride. Mm-hmm. The heart's going a little bit. I'm excited. I'm like tapping my legs, going like it's gonna start. They even had that whole intro thing. I actually put it on my Instagram where they had the 10-minute count at the beginning.
Yeah, and
they had the soundtrack pretty much.
Yeah, the soundtrack. Yeah, they had snippets from the soundtrack.
It was fantastic.
I do think it was funny that there was no trailers, but there was a bunch of
advertisements up the ass.
Even there was 3 advertisements for the movie theater.
Yeah,
and I'm like, geez, man, we're in your theater. You don't need to advertise it. We've already bought the ticket.
Yeah, that was a little excessive on the advertisement thing.
So that's
no trailers, which I did appreciate, but I thought the movie was gonna just kick right in. But yeah, and even at the 10 count,
there was a little bit of trailer because the Black Adam.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was the DC thing.
Yeah.
So it was more self-serving towards the actual company. Right. It wasn't like they showed Jurassic Park or this or that.
I gotcha.
Although with all the advertisements, I would have preferred the trailers.
It was pretty, honestly, yeah.
It was pretty much about the same. It was it only saved about 10 minutes off.
And there was that
trailer. A movie that started at 7 that started off at 720 really.
There was that dad in the theater who was like, "Anybody got the remote so we can fast forward to the movie already?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he was expecting an applause. The person who said Happy New Year had more of a laugh.
Oh, that's
That
true.
was- yeah.
Like 3, like because I was like I want to start the countdown,
no.
and then but I did hear other people doing it, so like 10, 9, and then like once it hit 1, like that one person, Happy New Year. I was like,
I thought for sure we were gonna have to put up with people shouting out, because everybody wants to get that
No,
one.
yeah, that's why I said I appreciated how quiet everybody is, except for the constant getting up.
yeah.
That was the only
See,
problem.
and you guys were lucky. I was next to a guy would not stop sniffing or doing something. I couldn't. I don't, like it was constant. The only time I couldn't hear him was when the music was really. It was an action, intense.
I just stared at him. At one point I looked at him.
I wanted to.
Seriously, bro?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe he had some medical condition. I'm like, oh.
But anyways, back.
Sorry.
Real
Yeah.
back. Yeah, action movie.
But it was a fun experience.
Yes.
Yes, it was a very fun experience. Like, and honestly, like, I didn't expect to be able to get these tickets because normally when they do these fan type things, they're in LA or New York or some other like metropolitan style city. So it's like
Maybe they were just testing the waters to see how many people are actually gonna. Because everything's still going on and everything. Maybe they wanted to see, if people are gonna turn out for this.
It's
right
honestly, it's a perfect marketing scheme because what they did is they also dropped the reviews the day before on the 28th. Mm-hmm. So the official reviews came out and it built hype up more. Then the fan early screenings like sold out nationwide. Like, I think it was like 300,000 tickets they sold for this, and then so now people who are on the fence, like, I don't know if I want to go see Twilight. People are gonna be raving about this movie. Like, critics are already raving about it. Now fans are going to be raving about it.
And anyone that saw it today is because everyone saw it in the IMAX.
Yeah.
They're going to go and want to go sit in luxury
And then
seating.
even tomorrow on March 2nd, non-IMAX theaters are doing fan screenings too. So, like, Cinemark is doing their fan screening. Those are already sold out too. So it's like, and then I looked at tickets for Thursday and Friday. They're already sold out too.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, this movie's going to do pretty bonkers money.
I hope so.
So what do you think?
because
You think it's going to... I mean, I do want to get back to the movie, but do you think it's going to rival, if not, maybe break even with Spider-Man?
Opening weekend?
I don't think so.
No, because these early screening, the fan thing is gonna affect the box office, the overall weekend box office.
I just meant by the end. I don't mean to beat it out right off the bat. I mean, like, in the end run, by the end, think it's going to be a little bit behind Spider-Man?
The way
Either
that this,
with it...
It's gonna be $1 billion. I think it's gonna make $1 billion, but it's not gonna be on the level of Spider-Man. What were you gonna say, Jeff?
The way that the story is the way that this movie is filmed, the way the story is told, I don't think a whole lot of people are actually gonna like it, even Batman fans.
Like, I'm curious if it's going to be...
But because they're not, because everyone's expecting a Marvel or big whoosh.
Also-
and it's not. It's very down to earth.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not really sure this is one that parents can bring their little kids to, because it is pretty scary for a Batman movie. Like, and it is kind of like
I thought you were gonna say time wise because it's
Also time-wise.
Oh, yeah,
it's a
time-wise.
thriller.
No,
And
like-
like again, the scary part not too heavy.
No,
I've seen people take kids into way worse.
true. I mean, you got a point there.
Hell, and like Halloween, there was
I think
kids.
it's a certain. They made it for a certain audience.
Well, yeah, that's what
I was gonna see Hereditary, and there was a 5-year-old in that movie. Like, come on, man.
But that's what I was gonna say is I wonder if it's not gonna suffer because it's Batman. So I still think it's gonna hit up there pretty high. But I wonder if it's gonna have that shortcoming only in the sense that, like, when I went to go watch Blade Runner 2049, fantastic movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. This is very ode to that. I felt the same way about this movie as I did about that one. But that movie was technically a financial bomb in some people's eyes. And I was like, how? It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But, again, the storytelling and the pacing and blah, blah,
But
and how
was-
long it was, that might affect some people's viewing because that guy at the
That
beginning,
guy, yeah.
fucking boring.
And yeah, there's a lot more of those guys out there. Than
Oh, yeah,
we
there's
all
plenty
like
of
to
people that are
admit.
going to just whine about the pacing and this. And
Also,
storytelling.
the 3-hour runtime does affect how many
It does turn off.
screenings
Yeah.
that the theaters can actually
Although I do
have.
appreciate that, though. They could have easily been like, cut it down. It's way too long.
I love that
Yeah,
it was
I
3
can't
hours.
believe
Love
they let him like do a 3-hour movie, like, because like they like for a first movie out, like that either shows
Ballsy.
that they're super confident in this movie being that good that they're like, no, you have to show the 3-hour cut. Like I wonder if this was like his assembly cut,
or they pulled like a Dune and just said, we don't know if we're gonna get a second one, so we're just gonna show this one in all its glory.
Yeah, pretty much. But oh my god, it was just like it's just amazing to me that he was able to get a 3-hour cut approved by the studio, especially with the fact that 3-hour movies are hard to get turnover on because of the amount of screens that they are actually able to show. Screenings there.
Well, it depends how long it stays in theaters too. Movies are staying a lot longer in theaters than they used to. So,
but the one thing I would say is a detriment to its long-term success is the fact that HBO Max said that after the 90-day, not 90 days, after the 60-day window, which is like less time, or no, 45-day window. Sorry. They shorten it down to a 45-day theater window before they can start putting it on streaming or digital. They are going to put it on HBO Max.
Well, if you're listening to this,
days.
I would say it's watch it in theaters.
Yeah.
It's a movie you have to see
yeah.
on the big screen.
Well, especially when that.
But also, it's,
unless you have a legit theater at home.
Yeah.
Watch it in the theater.
Also, it's optional for them to just pull it from theaters after 45 days. They don't have to pull it from theaters.
You kidding
so
me? That's what I
would
said.
say
Spider-Man was still showing. Remember when we went to go watch Uncharted? I was like,
Yeah.
Spider-Man's still here? I was like, Jesus Christ, the movie's been out, what, 2 months?
Spider-Man's gonna be still in theaters when it's out on streaming.
Yeah.
When people can
They start
buy
selling it on DVD.
Yeah.
Or DVD, excuse me, Blu-ray.
Yeah.
4K. What's a DVD?
UHD. Yeah. But no, I would say
Let's wriggle it back.
that would be the only thing is like, if they decide to put it on HBO Max after the 45 days, I think that's gonna like hurt its long-term box office. But if they see how successful it is, then they're gonna keep it in theaters for as long as they possibly can.
But yeah, let's jump back into it though. I'll just jump right into it. Okay, so we talked about Robert Pattinson, Bruce, and how he portrayed. I mean, we could talk more and more. We could talk about the costume more, but we'll go into detail about more. Let's go to some characters, but let's not go too long and go to each segment. But let's talk.
I really liked Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon was fantastic, and I love that there was like a duo thing. That how it is in the show.
They're partners. They were partners.
Yeah.
And I loved the whole interrogation scene with him and Peg. The Peg.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I don't want to say I was ever worried, but with casting choices, it like as soon as it started, it never bothered or even came into thought of like seeing, to me it was just, hey, it's Gordon,
Yeah. Same.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he filled the role perfectly. He wasn't played as an idiot. He was competent.
Yeah, he's a cop. He's
Yeah.
a cop first and foremost. They wanted to get the bad guy. He knew that this is a guy he can show and they trust him, and he trusts each other.
There was a history there. And I love that because I hate when they do reboots, but they still tell the story of the learning to fly part where they have to do the whole his parents dying thing again. Like you see that 1,000 times, but the history is already there, and they just go off of that.
Yeah, it's reference more than it is.
Speaking of, I love the thing at his conversation with Alfred in the hospital bed because there's a part where Alfred gets blown up a little bit because he opens a letter that was addressed to Bruce Wayne
From the Riddler.
From the Riddler. Well, it said to the Batman, so that's probably why he opened it up. But when when he's in the hospital bed and Bruce is talking to him, he's like he says like, you don't think it's a coincidence that he told Falcone that the day your father told Falcone he was going to tell the cops about what he did, that he got killed. Like, you think it was Falcone? Like, I don't know. Like, it could have just been some random thug.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah, they still left it ambiguous, saying like
now he's going to go after Falcone for personal reasons.
It could have been circumstances, just a crazy coincidence.
Exactly. And then the whole scene when Selena confronts the cop on the payroll and she wants to kill him and he's like no, and then when she sneaks off and actually confronts Falcone and she's about to kill him, like Batman stops her and says like this isn't the way we do it. Like he's gonna pay, like he'll pay, and then
I like how he tells her he's just like, he deserves to die for making her son. He's just like, you've suffered enough.
Yeah.
He's just like, you've suffered.
No. This is what he said. He deserves to pay, but you don't deserve to pay as well.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If he follows up with like, you've suffered it already.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I like that. Like he's just basically telling us like, just let it. It's hard, but let it go in a sense. Like
the best way it's the best way they've introduced Batman's one role. Like because like in The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, it was just like kind of like no, I won't be an executioner, and then they never really touched on it in the other ones, but and then obviously Ben Affleck's Batman just like killed fools left and right, and had no hesitation with that one. But I think that was because he was at the end of his rope Batman, like been doing it for 20 years, and he's just like, screw it.
Those are just rubber bullets, right? Those are
like that parody. Like they're just taking a nap. That's what Alfred tells me. But like they establish his one rule and why he does it, even though
he's a deterrent. It's more of a deterrent.
I'm gonna go really old school right here. So Gordon.
Why do we always do that to ourselves?
Do not. That is
what happened.
We very, very old school. We were talking about Gordon, and
we went off on
really far.
Welcome to the Nerdy Geeky Geek podcast, where we go off on tangents.
I didn't even notice.
I always notice. That's why you came to see me doing this a lot. I'm like, are you back?
Oh, I thought you were just fidgeting.
There's a lot of hand gestures I do. You guys don't get to see it, but I'm always doing hand gestures to the guys, trying to tell them, tighten it up, shorter back.
This is my first
come
time.
Back. Yeah, he's a guest there, so you get a free pass.
My first time, be gentle.
But I was like, yeah, Gordon's great. Well, how did we get to this?
He's definitely a different Gordon than the other Gordons. I can say that for sure. Like, Gary Oldman's Gordon was kind of the same in a way. He was like the unofficial partner, but he wasn't as
wasn't teamed up with him.
Yeah. He wasn't as detective-y.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna say he wasn't as hands-on.
Yeah, he wasn't as.
This one was more hands-on. And like I said, I love the whole. He's with me, and the whole distrust between the cops at the beginning, and then the full-on distrust when he's breaking out of the precinct, which was a great scene. And I like how even Gordon's talking to him. He's just like, "We got to get you out of here." He's like, "Well, how?" And they're just talking, and he starts pointing out they're having a conversation, but it looks like he's lecturing him. I like how he's like, "Just hit me, just punch me."
And I love his when he confronts him later on. He's like, "You could have pulled your punch," and he's like, "I did." like, damn, Batman.
But yeah, I liked it. And then when he's escaping and he goes up the whole stairwell, which is like one of the longest stairwells ever. What is that doing in a precinct? My goodness.
That wasn't. You're right.
I did
that was a huge stairwell.
It was like at least 12 floors or something like that.
At least, yeah.
I mean, it was a great shot, and I loved his grappling hook. Very ode to the Michael Keaton style looking.
Love that grappling hook.
And it came out of his wrist too. I like that. And he just
like a little derringer.
Yeah, and just fires it off, and
he used it as a weapon too.
Yeah, and then what I loved too is that he was grappling hook around. He was grappling around. He wasn't like that's like I think one of the things that was great and also a detriment to the Nolan ones was he used the wing glide a little too much, and then obviously that carried over to the video games, which is the best feature in the world.
But he used grapple hooks a lot in that game too.
Well, yeah, he does. It's a combination of both. This one, he's more of a grappler.
Yeah, which I like. And like I said, that's why I said I like the whole thing with Gordon and stuff like that. And oh man, I mean, and he was not used sparingly. He was throughout the entire movie too. Mm-hmm. He was there. Yeah. It wasn't like Gordon. Okay, he's gonna disappear for a while. Nope, he was there.
You get stuck behind a desk, or the sergeants or whatever's going to yell at him.
There was enough of Gordon. There was enough of Selena. Selena was in it quite a bit, and she actually played a main role in it for the most part. She was not just relegated to like a femme fatale or background.
And even though he wasn't in it a lot, Penguin was great.
He was used right. He was used as he was. He was the secondary to the main baddie, which was Falcone.
I wouldn't even really call him an antagonist, to be honest with you. Like he had his antagonistic moment.
He was a bad
chase, but he wasn't
excellent chase too.
He was sort of kind of like the
Colin Farrell. Killed it. Everybody, even oh my God, what is his name? Who played Falcone?
John Turturro.
Fantastic. I thought. I mean, seeing him in so much goofy stuff, you kind of get that mentality like, I can't take him seriously. I've seen him in so much stuff.
He was totally Bruce Rounder's character in this one, wasn't he? Like, I was thinking that the whole time.
He was Falcone. He was in charge.
Yeah.
Like,
although is it Falcone or Falcone?
Falcone.
It's Falcone?
I'm pretty sure it's Falcone.
Well, everyone says it's different.
Yeah, because
Falcone.
It's a Falcone.
Anyway, like everyone played their part perfectly. Yeah. There was no real weak link. I mean, I guess
even the twins were great.
If you're pointing out one person's, like you said, and maybe it's just the nervous tick thing because it's been done before, would be the Riddler, but it was still, I thought, perfectly done.
Yeah. But like while I was criticizing it, I was thinking of the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor.
It was the Eccentric, as you said, the Eccentric.
But then I started thinking about Riddler as a character and in animated series and past movies, he's always been eccentric. So it fits his character to have eccentric moments.
And this was a lifetime thing for him.
Yeah.
You know,
which kind of fit what they were going for in this one. That's why I wasn't looking at going like, but yeah, I got your point when you were like a little bit much on parts, but that was more of a creative choice rather than the character in the thing.
Yeah.
You know, that was just.
Mm-hmm.
But
as I'm thinking about
there was
it,
no
it's
weak person in the movie. I mean, side characters, villains.
The only weak spot I would say, but thankfully he was only in it for like a couple seconds, was the guy who played the commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like his. He seemed like a caricature of a New York character, and I get that's probably what they were going for. But he was only in it for like 10 minutes, so it wasn't like bothersome.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was going to be in a lot more.
And the actor who played him he wasn't portrayed badly. It was just it was the character itself.
Yeah, but then as you realize later on, he kind of there's a reason why he was like that, so it made sense in the end. And then do you want to talk about the tease at the very end? In Arkham Asylum?
You want to jump all the way over there?
I want to talk about the Batmobile.
We're trying to go through this, man.
Sorry.
Why are you rushing?
Yeah.
Well, are
you rushing or are you dragging?
Because we go into, I guess, not even a subplot, but it all starts about a missing person in a sense, or what's going on with the girl.
Well, how he gets involved with Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
Like, because he finds the girl who the mayor was having an affair with.
Yeah, like everything tied together, and they were like breadcrumbs leading you to a thing, and or like a thread, and he kept pulling on every thread, and it would just start something new, and it just kept connecting to something.
When I rewatch it, and I'm gonna buy this thing as soon as humanly possible. There's that part where he said, it was all there before you. You know, the explosions. Like, I want to go back. I really want to pay attention to see if it really was all there. Or you guys are looking at me like, did I miss something? Like, did you see the water?
I think it meant more like the hints and where to find something and how it was connected. I don't know about the bomb part, but like when you look closer, it was like all the mini details. When you're just looking at the big picture, but you're not looking at the small things that connect certain things. You see what you're going to see, but he's like, no, you didn't see what I was actually trying to show you, which was like, you know, find this piece connects to this, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it probably will take like a second viewing to be like, yeah.
But I love, like, you were talking about the chase scene. Like, I love the chase scene because I think this is like the first time that a chase scene felt like it was on an actual freeway and not like a fake freeway.
Yeah, and it wasn't a spacecraft on wheels. It was a jacked up, souped up. Okay, there was a rocket booster, but like, I would
say this is where I would argue to tell anybody like that says, "Oh, I'll wait or I'll stream it." I'm like, no, watch it in theater. Sound.
You felt it, man. When that car showed up,
turning,
I got a semi. I'm not gonna lie.
It's like the rate and it turns, the sound, the feel of it. You felt like every hit of the car, every acceleration. It was
every crash, every hit he did, and every crash, and like
it was kind of an old school chase scene.
Well, what's
it was a lot of inside the cars. There was rain. You couldn't.
I like the rain aspect of the whole movie because it's just like torrential in that type of area in New York, and it's Gotham, but New York.
Yeah, there was a quote about what the guy who invented, like, Gotham it's 16 minutes after midnight in New York below 32nd Street or something like that. That is all of Gotham. I don't know if that's the right quote, but, you know. And they got, you know, all of Gotham was like that. There were the worst part. Tangent.
You're fine.
But no, the chase scene was, you could, when it showed from outside the car, it showed you what was going on. But in the car, it felt very like, you know, they can't see where they're going really, you know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you can actually hear the gear shifting.
Yeah. And he didn't do it 13,000 times.
It was a very, very nice Batmobile.
Yes. Yes, it was.
I'd like to see if they're going to keep it like that or if they're going to alter it and then the next ones, if they do later on ones.
And even though I saw it in the trailer, when he comes out of the flames, I'm like, I love this.
I did kind of chuckle when he kind of leans in because I'm just thinking like that looks kind of funny. I'd be like, oh shit, what's up, Batman? But I do like it. I do like that it cuts automatically to them interrogating him.
Yeah,
like him and Gordon interrogating.
That was a great interrogation. That was
finding out that it's, you know, he has nothing to do with anything.
Like,
he's just a bad guy.
It's
like like, habla español?
Yeah.
Like, am I the only one that knows the difference between L and la? I'm just like, oh my god. Although that what ended up being the clue is like URL, like
Yeah,
that was a little bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
But that was that guy's mentality, because we're glossing over certain things, like when they find the thumb drive. It was,
I love that.
it was kind of his
love
humor.
I was
his-
thinking of Will when
his
that
crazy
because I
humor
wanted to do
stuff.
that, like Will's laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a little thumb; it was a chunk of thumb.
Yeah,
It was
he
like
took it off at the
down,
joint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took it off right down at the joint. It wasn't
Thumb
like
drive.
Yeah, and well, that's why I like how even Bruce says it. He's just like thumb drive. He says like a thumb drive.
And I like how when he's like, it's encrypted, like use this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy's got sixth sense of
This guy's
humor.
so messed up.
Like the humor was not lacking in the sense of that it was
And
it was smart humor.
Yeah, and that's what you always worry about going into movies like these. Is like, is it gonna be so dark and grim that there's like gonna be no humor at all, no levity? But thankfully there
Or is it gonna be
was.
too much?
Yeah. Or is it gonna be like, yeah, because like, and that's one of the biggest criticism of Marvel movies is they're too funny sometimes.
They're very funny.
Yeah. So and the same thing with new Star Wars, But they found the perfect balance. Like there were moments where there needed to be levity, and then obviously moments where levity was not necessary.
Mm-hmm. No, wait. Where was it not necessary?
No, he's saying in general, like
Sorry, space stuff.
there's parts
Yes.
in it
Yes.
where
Just kidding.
there's certain movies where it's like that was not needed to have you. It's like
Oh,
a
no, I
serious
get it,
scene, and
yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, and you're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, like Shang-Chi had a couple of those. Like
You're
they're
like, no, it was a heartwarming part, and you threw in a freaking gag just to make people
laugh.
like, yeah, it's like a super serious scene followed by. Well, a perfect example would probably be Endgame when.
No,
or
I was saying
Infinity
Shang-Chi.
War. No, but I'm thinking Infinity War when Quill and Gamora are having a good conversation,
Oh, yeah.
and then it cuts to Drax.
Oh
and
yeah,
Jim.
yeah.
So like
the-
that. But let's not go too much into that. But yeah, so it's like that. They didn't have that in this movie, which is great. People always joke that DC is so dark, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this one was
I like
dark,
dark, yeah.
but dark done right. It wasn't brooding dark.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Dark done right.
I did see one joke that was hilarious about like just from watching the trailers because I haven't seen the movie yet. But it's like do they not know? Obviously, they don't have a Home Depot in Gotham because nobody has light bulbs because it's so dark.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that joke.
No, it wasn't in the movie.
Okay.
That was their joke about the movie.
Okay.
About the look of the movie, how dark
Ah.
it is. Like, it actually looks dark, and not just that it's dark in tone.
So yeah,
I like the twins too. The twins were a good little. They were comedic, and they were used correctly.
Yeah. And every time, like, do you know who I am? Like, even though in the callback, like, do you know who I am? Like,
Yeah.
told you that was Bruce Wayne. It's like, dang, it's like, that's when he's starting to realize that his Bruce Wayne persona can get him. Yeah.
Get him into a lot more places than his Batman brooding Libyan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's just so much, but it's like trying to think, and it's fresh in your head, but you're like, there's so much we can jump around all day on this.
Did you want to talk about the score at all, or should we keep on?
Oh, the music was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like I'm not I'll notice the score, but like when I'm wrapped up in the world. But this one, I'm like, whoa! Like
It adds to the scenes.
Yeah, it added.
It really added to the scenes. Like when, a perfect example is when he's figuring it all out in the apartment, and it's that cop that references the tool, and he's like, it's a whatever for a carpet.
Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker. And he starts ripping up the carpet, and the music starts playing, starts building up, and then as he's listening to the recordings, it starts just building up. And that brings me back to what I was gonna say. One, the music was very awesome. As Bruce, as the actual character Bruce, he was always stoic and, like I said, a joke saying a little bit emo.
He was super,
but not terrible.
I was so worried the first part. I thought this was gonna be emo Batman.
So there is that joke saying he's emo Batman. I'd be like, hey, he's emo Bruce a little bit, but it makes sense kind of why. When you watch the movie, you understand why he's a bit more.
Solemn.
I don't care. Yeah, he's year 2. He's already been doing this for a little while, and he's kind of not liking how the city is. But then it comes to a revelation that I need to be something else.
Yeah.
So he's gonna learn from that.
Yeah.
But I found that he had way more expressions wearing the cowl, wearing the whole suit, wearing the like you could see it in his eyes, how his eyes are like.
Yeah, they really focused on his eye, and Pattinson really
his
nailed
facial
it.
expressions in a mask. I actually noticed it was way more while he was wearing the whole suit.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah, he was definitely more expressive while he was like, and I feel like that's what an actor loves to do, because I remember Tom Hardy had said this.
Well, he had to act with his eyes.
When with Bane, like, it forces you to act differently when you can't have your whole face shown. You have to do everything in your eyes, and then sometimes in your mouth, like if you have obstruction. So that was probably what Pattinson was channeling, was like,
his eyes said a lot in that movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But to go back to the music, the music, for every part, like, all the music fit. There was never a part where I was like, music doesn't really fit, or they threw that in just because.
Even the Nirvana song that they used, like,
I thought that was just going to be a trailer thing. I didn't know it was going to be an actual movie. 'Cause sometimes you don't know if someone's going to be in the movie or just in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But it was used, well, you got used twice too, didn't it?
Yeah, you got used twice, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, like, back at what you were saying, like, that moment that he realizes that the whole vengeance thing is actually inspiring the wrong type of people, and he has to, like, become the symbol of hope that,
That was a great scene. I mean, I know it's jumping straight to the end, but I like the whole, because the whole city gets flooded, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
We'll jump back into the action sequence of the end. But I like the end when they're airlifting people out, and the girl's, like, gets scared, and she grabs him, and he, like, holds her hand for a second. Or he grabs her hand. I thought he was going to be like, let her off, but he actually holds her hand and kind of gives her a nod.
Yeah.
And then she, like, lays back down and comforted. And I'm like, that's great. That's
But what I loved is the one who actually, like, started that, like, because, everybody was afraid of Batman still.
Oh, yeah.
And then the kid is the first one to come out, and he's like,
Yeah.
I trust you.
Reaches out his hand.
He's holding his hand. They're in the water. They're surrounded by rubble, and he's held his hand out for a while. And the mayor is there. She's not even reaching for his hand.
Well,
It's
the
kid.
Morale candidate.
No, she won, didn't she?
Mayor-elect.
Mayor-elect,
That's what they call her, yeah. But yeah, like, but that's because
She won by default.
I feel like a win is a win. But anyway, I feel like the reason why that kid was so, like, willing to reach his hand out to him was because the fact that when he saw him in the beginning, they shared that look.
Yeah.
They shared that look with each other. It's like,
You can
they
tell when
connected.
somebody else knows what you're going through, type thing.
It kind of reminded me of that scene in Dark Knight Rises when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character said that's when he figured out Bruce Wayne was Batman, because he's like, you could just see it in his eyes.
You're like, I've seen that look before.
Yeah, because I look at it in the mirror every day. They had that same, like, I know you see what I'm seeing, and that's why he was like, I trust this guy, because he's not a monster.
Which is a great scene. Which is funny, because I thought they maybe delve more into the whole blowing of the seawalls and stuff like that. This is where we'll get back into it. But I mean, because this is the final scene after they've captured. Pretty much they captured Riddler.
They've got him locked up. He's not,
But there's actually more segment, because I'm like, well, obviously there's more movie, because I've seen it in the trailers.
Yeah.
That there's an action sequence still coming. So I was like, it's not going to end with him captured.
Can I just say that's the best way to misdirect the audience in a trailer, is because, like, you think from the trailer that you see when you see the Riddler with the gun, like, oh, well, that's Riddler.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought they were gonna break him out of prison. Like, it was gonna be one of those things where, like, one of his followers was, like, a guard at Arkham, and he opens the door for him.
Nah, he made a costume that everyone could just wear,
And yeah,
His 507 followers did.
Yeah. And they all went to go start shooting people.
Although it wasn't all 500, because if it was 500,
yeah.
because if it was really all 500,
Like
then,
an army coming in.
Yeah, basically. So it still showed that even though he had a powerful reach, it still wasn't as powerful as he thought, because not all 500 were like, yeah, we're totally gonna go to this arena with guns
we're gonna do
fully
mass
loaded.
shooting. Yeah.
But I like when they showed up, and even I was like, oh, that's cool, because I was like, I figured as much. I was like, oh, they're gonna be just like, because they did a good job not showing it in the trailer that it's them. They just look like thugs.
Yeah.
When you see it, I'm like, oh yeah, they're all dressed like Riddler.
Yeah.
dressed
They're
like.
a hero.
And then he just comes in. At first, I thought the whole, because they're out there, they start shooting everybody, or they start shooting at people.
Well, they do shoot
And
people in this movie. People get shot.
The water's, coming in after they blow all the seawalls. It's flooding the entire city, and everyone's like going to one place. That's where they were drawing everybody to just have pretty much a duck shoot.
Yeah.
And
fish.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And they start popping off rounds, but when the whole top of the ceiling blew up, I thought that was part of their plan.
Yeah.
But it was Batman. He's blowing the whole ceiling, and he just comes down.
I will have to say, like, being the nitpicker I am sometimes, like,
Did he
Bro,
to
you
really
waited all that time to set all those charges?
Did you really have to do that? Like, you could. That's a lot of glass coming down on people.
I didn't even think of that.
There's a lot of people running down there, and there's big shards
That
of
was
glass.
an elaborate explosive.
Yeah. Like, just for you to come through one window.
Yeah.
I do get the sense that there was a lot of them, so maybe he was doing it to like create like because they all drop
Yeah,
and
because
dodge
it was shrapnel.
and stuff.
Yeah, they were all
So
scared
they're
of
like,
getting
oh
cut
crap,
by
you
the
know?
glass.
And I love his initial drop down too, and he uses both of his
Grappling guns.
grappling guns and nails the two guys in leg, and they go through their legs. And I like
Can
how
I
he
just say
does the
too that
spin.
the way he
Great
was
use of the grappling
falling,
gun.
yeah, the way he was falling was like natural. Like it wasn't like he wasn't doing like the superhero pose or
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah, he
Jumped
never
down.
did his cape thing.
Well, he did a little bit.
Well, when he's coming down
from
like that, he comes down and he just kind of. But yeah, I like when he comes. Which we jumped past that part, but we'll get back to it again. But yeah, I like how he drops down, and all the takedowns were really good, and he's taking shots, obviously.
Yeah, taking really
Taking some
big
good
shots.
Yeah.
Like especially when he gets hit with the 12 gauge and he's out. In
Boom!
the count.
Yeah, like you felt that when he got hit with that. That's what you should
Good
see.
sound
in
effects.
theaters.
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me.
And even when Catwoman came in, like even though she only took out like 2 people, like she did it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Pretty efficiently.
Like I said, I love her fight style.
Well, I like that there is an attraction between the two, and like the chemistry right there, and how she saves him, and she's like, it's gonna be okay,
Yeah.
And then, which leads to, I thought was a really cool part, but I was just like, it is a question that I'll have to wonder if that's an Easter egg, or if I just like to just speculate on my own, whether or not that shit he takes is either venom
Or just adrenaline.
adrenaline. But he sticks his leg, he has a little slot even for it, so I'm gonna say it's a concoction of something he has. And he just sticks his leg, and he gets like
adrenaline. Yeah, adrenaline
just starts
is
beating the
always clear
bejesus.
in every movie ever.
Yeah.
So maybe
yellow,
I was thinking
yeah.
about it. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's or like a special
a variation of
Yeah.
like a cocktail of venom or something like that, which could be leading to the idea of Bane, or at least a reference to.
Yeah.
But I love it. He just jumps up. He does kind of like a yell, like it's adrenaline. It's getting him pumped up. And he just starts beating the bejesus out of that guy. I thought he was gonna be one of those things where like you could kill them, or you almost killed him.
Yeah.
And he just beats the living crap out of him.
Yeah. He's like, and I thought it was when they're like, oh god, and then they take his mask off. It was gonna be somebody they knew, but he's like,
Well, it was that guy he was standing next to. At
Okay,
the
so it
funeral.
was that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
He
was.
just couldn't tell because, like I said, he broke his nose and beat him pretty good.
Yeah, he was all fucked
Although
up.
he wasn't as beat.
I mean, messed up.
he was messed up. I guess he was more realistically without the blood. I suppose he was more realistic. He was really red and smushed nose and like.
Well, he was ugly to start with, so
Yeah,
it's
there
hard
you
to
go.
tell. His face
Yeah.
was messed up.
yeah, true.
But yeah, he beat him all pretty good, and I like how he's taking out people and showed how smart he is, and even some of his gadgets, like the little incendiary or the bomb that he places to blow out the gas like that, the little timer one. It's very, very Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And he
then
didn't have any battle rings, like we said, but he did have the chest one, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, and I saw that being a theory that it was actually knives. I'm like, why would you have it? I'm like, oh, it is a knife. But
Well, people were always saying his theory too is that it was made from the gun that killed his parents.
yeah, I remember that theory, and I didn't think that theory flew because it's like, why would you?
That's totally
Curious.
messed up.
Yeah.
He really hates that knight. There's no way he'd carry that with
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was always like, seems like an awkward thing to have.
Yeah.
Just in your chest.
The thing that killed my parents, protecting my heart. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, but again, it shows to the practicality of the suit and that it's the
You
other
can't
than
just
the
carry all
cowl.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, other than the cowl being obvious, like
It was rubber. I was very surprised that it was rubber.
Well, it's
Actually, it looked more
supposedly
like it was latex
it's
leather or
hard. It's like metal, but he actually has it covered with a layer of like a leather or something. But it's actually hard because
I got a little bit of Daredevil.
There was a lot of people
Ben
saying
Affleck
like
Daredevil vibe.
yeah.
on it.
Well,
But
actually,
but
I got
better.
more of the Charlie Cox original variation where it had the dark on the beginning of Daredevil. It looked more like that, but all black, obviously.
yeah,
He had little pointy ears. He didn't have like the thick pointy ears. He just had little.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the emblem being the knife, like that's the only. Like,
And he only used it. He didn't use it
Twice.
until he went back in to investigate the apartment when he cut the tape, and he's like, "Put that right back on my chest." And I was like, "Ah, that's neat. It
and
comes
then,
out.
Yeah, then
That's
you use
handy.
it-
You know, you can't wear it on your belt. It already has that little holster thing."
I thought it was for sure gonna throw it by the end of the movie.
because I thought it was a battering.
Me too. I thought it was like that's how he that's how he gets the idea for the batarangs.
Did you find it kind of funny? Because when he goes to save everybody because the electricity's coming down, this is towards the end after they defeated all the bad guys. And
I'm like, man.
he grabs the electrical wire and he cuts above his hand. And I'm like, why would you cut it? Why did you just cut like below? So you're still hanging, but he went down to save the people. So it kind of makes sense. But just the way he did it was like.
And I like how they didn't try to make you think like, did he die?
Yeah.
Like,
no, he just popped right back out.
We just did this.
Although the one thing I want to say is anyone who's ever seen the tsunami videos and stuff like that, when water comes flooding in like that and there's garbage in the street, that's some dirty ass water, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else know that the mayor-to-be is probably going to die from sepsis? Maybe. Unless she gets treated. Because she got shot in the side and she is just wading in that water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to get really sick. Or you're going to die at some point. They're just not going to show that. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, but by the way.
Yeah, especially Gotham.
They'll be like, you were floating in some disgusting-ass water getting into that wound, so you're going to have, like, gangrene.
I don't know. I mean, people have survived, being in tsunamis.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just, like, in my head, I'm like, you just got
She's
shot
going
in
to
the
get
belly, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're getting just filthy-ass Gotham water in it.
Because she got shot twice, I thought. Once in the shoulder and once in the...
No, it was just in the left side, I think. I didn't see the shoulder part.
Okay.
Although I did like when she says that statement and he's like, it's dangerous, and she goes up there and she even notices him before they shoot her. I think that's what saved her too, because she's like, oh. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah.
She was a great mayor. I liked the lady who played the mayor.
Yeah. She wasn't used heavily, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor-to-be.
Mayor-elect.
She won by default. The other guy died horribly.
Which is weird that his widow and son were there.
Like, well, they say to pay respect, and to show a united front. Would they even have that as not a throwaway line, but they even say it. So.
Yeah. Plus, she found out her husband was seeing hookers. Yeah. So
the mayor showing support.
Or was just a club girl, and
you're seeing a woman.
Seeing a woman. Okay. Yeah. See, I got hooker when she's
in her mind, in the wife's mind.
Oh yeah, totally
she's
hooker.
A hooker.
Yeah, totally hooker.
Like he's spending money on her. She's a hooker.
She's like one of those in Japan.
All right, but it jumps back that we're gonna go jump a little bit further back, a halfway point, and he's escaping the police station.
You can cut this and just put it in chronological.
Because there's so much stuff about Batman. There's so much Batman in this movie. I love it. And Batman, not Bruce, Batman.
Mm-hmm. He was never Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Only at the funeral for like a half a second.
Yeah. When he's escaping the precinct, do you think that was kind of cool? He didn't have a wingsuit. He had
a flight suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or a winged flight suit. Where
he was not going to...
Where he zips it up. Although I was trying to figure out, was it formed from his cape?
It looked like it was formed from his cape. Because
because the cape's gone afterwards.
Yeah, the cape's gone, yeah.
So I think that's what it was. Is he can zip up his cape?
Yeah, he can't paraglide, but he can fall down a little slower.
Well, it's a wingsuit.
Wingsuit.
Yeah, and I liked he jumps off and he's just. Although that's the only part that I thought was a little funny. Every time they did the close up, it was like he had a little camera on his head, so it's like. So it did look a little funny. Yeah. I liked it though because the music that went along with it and how fast it was going. It was never like this is goofy as hell. Yeah, it just looked a little funny on some parts, but I'm like, that's how you would look when you're trying to navigate through the city.
My favorite moment when
my God, how did he not break something? He hit that shit hard.
Yeah.
Body armor.
He pulled his parachute, he hit the glide on the time, he hit that thing, hit the car, and then hit asphalt. I'm like,
yeah,
that's that line from Ben Affleck's in the original Justice League that wasn't that good. It's like, yep, definitely something bleeding. I would have said that. I would have like, oh, fuck. Oh.
Well, no, I mean, you see him like get up, he's like, and he like limps away. He's like, but then he's all good later on.
He runs, but it's like more of like if anyone's ever like eating shit but you're still on the run, you're like, okay, you got that limp run going on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, ow.
Adrenaline's carrying you. The pain hasn't really settled in yet.
I love the whole thing with the cops though, and he's just like, I honestly was like, how did nobody pull his mask up? They got him all the way back to the precinct after the explosion.
Well, because Gordon was probably the one that was supervising them. Like, no, and then they finally.
And they try to pull off, and he just like pushes the guy. And then when the guy tries to pull up again, he just socks him.
He's like, we got him for assaulting 2 officers. Like, 1, maybe 3.
I was like, yeah, that's the Batman we all like. And then, I like that. It's like, give me 2 minutes. And then it leads to the whole escaping thing. I love that. So that was a great scene.
Although sometimes the way they were like, I understand why they were speaking the way they were. Like, the way they were like doing the dialogue, like you think he's gonna like the kind of like the facial expressions there and the voice choices. But I'm like, oh wait, but no, it makes sense in the context of it because they're whispering to each other, and 2, he's trying to like make it look like he's giving him like a stern talking to.
He's giving him the business.
Yeah. No, that's why I love that scene because it's just like he's totally selling it like he's, pointing at his chest and telling him stuff, but they're just giving each other information. Like he's like, who's that guy over there? He's like, that's the guy I ran into. Yeah, what's his name? It's stuff like that. It was just great. It was a great scene. overall. But yeah, I don't know. I had to talk about that. It's a short scene, but I like the whole escape and the whole wingsuit and
The whole movie was good, just from point A to point B. Or,
100%. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna do great things. I mean, because right now we could still dive more into this. I mean, we usually do great things, but I mean, like, I'm not really one for numbers anymore. But
Yeah, it's hard to.
I put fantastic when I was writing stuff. I was just like, fantastic, great movie. I don't like doing 1 out of 10s, even though that's one of our things. But since we're switching it up, I mean,
it's a see again movie. Definitely, it's an own. It's a buy all the action figures you can kind of.
Yeah, it'd be like it's in there on my collection that's gonna go on my wall. That's like, no, I will get this because it's just a fantastic, well done movie.
Like for me, it's definitely like day one Blu-ray release is available. I'm going out to buy it at Best Buy.
Like it is a slog. Yeah. In a sense of like time wise. So you really have to make time for this movie. Mm-hmm. So if you're gonna go again, it's like I gotta have the next day off.
I mean, how about the director's ultimate cut of Watchmen? That's a 4-hour movie.
Oh yeah.
And gladly watch it.
I have a handful of those type of movies. But like let's say.
And it's a movie you're gonna put on the plate. Like,
is this one that you're gonna go watch again for sure? Right?
Yes, 100%. This is one I would definitely watch again. Yeah.
Okay. Don't know if we're all gonna go together again, but we got a buddy, Will, who actually is a big part of the show. Which again, real quick, shameless plug. Watch his videos on YouTube at Paraspooky, where he reviews. More like introduces, kind of like a Crypt Keeper style
he hosts
for old school free
B-movie horror.
hard B movies.
Very, very hard B.
Like
borderline C.
Free to watch. You can find it's basically you can watch the entire movie
for free on YouTube.
And
through his channel.
It's a lovely passion project for him, and he does
it well. He does it well.
He's a really good host as Dr. Whatchamacarcus.
Yeah.
So go take that a watch, but we will go watch it with him because he's a big part of our podcast. He actually is the creator and founder of the podcast, and we are just the lovely people that have decided to continue it.
I am the only OG member of the podcast besides Will.
And I came in later.
Yes.
I am the voice behind this.
Awesome. Baby, I'm here now.
And Jeff is our awesome guest, who we all work at the same company, and we all hang out.
And Jeff was also the star of my short film, which you can watch on Triple Helix Films YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Haunted.
Yeah. Acting. What I do.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, no, definitely. I'm definitely going to at least watch this at least one more time.
We didn't talk about the tease at the end. Let's talk about it really quick. Before we.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So they teased the Joker. Like, I didn't think that they were going to tease the Joker. There's going to be, like, some people that are going to say it's not the Joker, but it's totally the Joker. It was totally the Joker. And it is the actor who was, like, highly speculated as being the Joker. Like, there's a bunch of fan art of him as the Joker. Barry Keoghan, who was actually just in Eternals. He played the character Druid, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff, too. But
I think that this Joker's going to be really messed up. Did you know his profile? Because you can't really see him, but you can kind of see him. Because we thought he was Two-Faced at first.
Yeah.
He's going to be
well, because it looks like his face is all jacked up. But you're seeing him through a grate, so you really can't see him.
You see his hair, he's got big hair. I like that.
Yeah. And if it's good, if they're going to do the whole thing where his skin is pale because of a chemical accident, it would make sense that if they're going to go a realistic approach to it, that his face should be a little damaged and chemical burned because he did fall into a vat of chemicals.
Yeah.
But I thought the riddle was going to be like you may have a few of these or whatever, but all it takes is one to I forgot what the riddle was.
The less you have, the more they are. The ones you have become precious or something.
I forgot what the riddle was, but I thought it was going to be like one bad day. Like,
well, that wasn't an end credit. I think that was right at the end of the movie, wasn't it?
It wasn't an end credit. It was just it was like second to the last scene. Because the very last scene.
What do you think of how it actually ended? Actually, dude, I thought that was kind of interesting. Where they just ended. They didn't end it with like a whole like Nolan thing where he's going off into the thing and blah blah blah. It's him driving off on the motorcycle where him and Selena go their separate ways. Catwoman.
Yeah, I liked it.
They don't call her Catwoman. I like that. Just call her by her name, Selena.
Yeah. No, but they do say, at the end, she does say at the end, Bat and the Cat.
Oh, yes.
So she is going to, I think she is going to adopt the moniker of Catwoman for whatever.
I like when they part ways and it's actually him looking in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, I like how they didn't show her looking back.
Just disappearing. But it's not like he's looking over his shoulder, he's just looking in his mirror. And then he looks forward and goes like, basically he's like, all right. And it ends with him being the focal point. It's not him driving off, it's just him, and then it just cuts.
You can tell he speeds up. Once she's out of sight, he speeds up, and he's going on to that bat signal.
Yeah.
He's going to go do his job.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good place to stop. I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like flash to prison or flash to this or
Yeah.
ooh, what's coming next. It was more like we're gonna show you what's possibly coming next, but then we're gonna finish.
That's like the best way to set up a sequel. It's not like Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they have that whole scene of him like walking through the thing and you see all the suits and everything.
Let's get a league of our own, like the Justice League one.
Oh yeah, or that either. Like, it's a small little. It's basically the same way they did it in Batman Begins, where like
the card
escalation thing. And like he has a flair for the theatrics like you, and it's the card.
Mm-hmm.
Only this time it was the actual Joker in Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they are teasing towards Court of Owls for the second one because they're talking about the Arkhams and the Waynes, and I'm pretty sure the Arkhams are a big thing in the Court of Owls storyline, aren't they?
I see. I wonder just where they're gonna go with all. I mean, if they decide to go with this, because Robert Pattinson's pretty young, so he can go for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
At least 3.
I never thought I'd say
4
that
movies.
Robert Pattinson makes a great Batman. I mean, it was so weird.
I would like to see where they lead in the Bruce.
Yes.
I want to see if he does come back. If he because he was a fine Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
He was a fine young in his early years of being Batman, where he's more Batman than he is Bruce, and he's got to learn to
when
balance.
He's Bruce,
the two.
he's a kid.
Yeah.
You know, he is not. You know, when he's Bruce, he's a kid. That's all I can say is that's.
Yeah.
He looks really young, but when he's in the suit and he's tall and he's standing a little straighter, you know, and the hair,
he's
got the emo hair.
Yeah. So I would like to see if they show like the whole balance that he has to basically perform.
That Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is the true identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's what the sequels are gonna tackle. It's like him, like the sequel is gonna be probably him like taking back control of Wayne Enterprises and then like actually doing good. Daytime good and nighttime good.
Because they reference the Joker obviously there, and they do reference into the Court of Owls, but they also reference into Hush. So there's so many things they can actually do.
Yeah, and it's
And
like the floor is open basically.
Yeah. And you can go back to the 2 villains that have already been around, but I'm like, they don't have to. They could, they can go into ones that they've never used before, that have been in their own animated series ones and stuff like that. I mean, there's
technically
so many.
is Hush and Court of Owls. It's the only. I still personally want them to do Mr. Freeze just because I want the redemption. But if they go Court of Owls or Hush or even just Joker proper, like do another direct sequel with Joker as either the main villain or a villain, I'd be happy with that too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else they could add on there. There's so many people, but it's hard to think who would work in the universe that they built.
Can you imagine they just like throw a total curveball and it's actually like Batman, a whole 2.5 hour movie of Batman in Arkham Asylum trapped with like it fast forwards like to year 4 and he's already like gone through his rogues gallery like off screen, but then he's in there like Arkham Asylum style having a fight through Arkham.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. Yeah, it's all dilapidated and messed up, just like Arkham Asylum. Yeah.
And it's a good way to kind of like bring the villains in without having to do an individual movie for all of them. It's like 2 years later, like all these different villains that just like have come out of the woodwork.
That's really good.
Yeah. It would be a left turn, but I don't think they're going to do that.
They'd have to make a really big prison though, because it's one thing to go in a game where you backtrack a lot, but wouldn't make sense in a movie to be backtracking so much.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
when you actually
they're
run through the game.
bosses. Yeah, you work up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I like it though.
It's a good idea to eat up a decent amount of time, like have it leading into that.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a Suicide Squad type thing, the animated one.
Or a whole 20 minutes.
Where he's doing the stuff outside, but there's something going on at the prison.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just be interesting if like the start of the second movie is like that version of Joker and he's like escorting him in and he's like, I'll see you soon, and he's like, what if that's the twist, is like they never actually show him like battling the Joker, because it's just like the Joker's there.
He is in prison already, so I mean,
somebody caught him.
Yeah.
Well, he's only in Arkham. He's not in Bloodhaven.
True. But I'm just saying, the fact that he's already in prison makes you wonder what kind of Joker he is at this point.
True.
Did you ever play Enemy Within on the Telltale? Okay, well, watch there's a movie, version on YouTube, but big vibes. Big Enemy Within vibe.
How long have we been going?
Oh, hour 20.
Okay. No, that's fine. Go ahead and
Okay. Well, yeah,
that's why I wasn't trying to.
Because when he first went in that one, when Bruce Wayne first meets the Joker, Joker's already locked up. You know, he's got the green skin and everything, and he's already in the crazy house.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like, there's so many places they can go for the sequel, and I will just be excited for whatever direction they decide to take.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Batman. Mm-hmm. Never says that, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
He's vengeance, and eventually he'll become Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is Batman, but you know what I mean. He's like,
Although it makes you wonder who came up with the Batman moniker. Was it the press, or was it the bad guys, or because it just sounds like he likes to say like I'm vengeance.
Yeah, they never called him Batman. It was Mr. Vengeance. That's what Selena called him.
Yeah, Mr. Vengeance.
Yeah.
Vengeance over here. That's what Oz, Penguin calls him. So it's like the only one that calls him Batman is the Riddler, technically, and then the press.
To the Batman. Yeah.
So I'm thinking the press probably named him the Batman. Anything else you want to add, Adrian?
Sorry. We touched on quite a bit without spoiling too much. You know, I know we get a little lost on some parts. It is very late for us right now because we watched a very late showing, but we did want to just put this out there as quick as we can because we thoroughly enjoyed this.
Somebody's been up since 3 a.m. this morning.
I have been up since 3 this morning. It is 12 o'clock. What are we here? 12:30.
12:37
It's almost 12:40. Yeah.
I'm gonna be going around the clock right here. My goodness. But I wanted to be part of this and put another podcast video out for everybody because we want to try to get it out there as much as we can. And we watched this movie and we just wanted to talk about it while it's fresh in our heads.
Yeah.
Great movie, just such.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna put a number, I'd say right now, like I said, I mean, it might fluctuate the more I look at it, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a 10 out of 10. It's movie of the year for me right now. Mm-hmm. There's still stuff coming out. I'm pretty sure something might,
bump it a little bit.
Yeah, bimp it. God, I am tired. Bump it off, or maybe even just break even. I can't see anything taking it off the top, if not just breaking even with it.
Doctor Strange is the only thing that has like stiff competition, but I don't think I would.
I want to say I think that movie is going to be fantastic, but I do not think it's going to take this one off because it is, in all purposes, a DC movie. Right. I mean, a Marvel movie.
For me, this is the type of movie that I watch as an aspiring filmmaker that makes me want to just open up my screenwriting apps and just start writing.
This puts it up in that thing of where I've always liked the cinematography part of stuff, or setting up a scene. Like I like being the person behind the camera that's actually controlling the camera, not just the idea person, but getting the shot. Because I do photography and stuff like that on the side, and I would just. This is that movie that sits up there where I'm like, it's a beautiful movie to just look at, watch, listen to, everything. From the music to the cinematography to the acting, everything was just on point for me.
Agreed.
So it's up there on that listing of movies where, sure, it's not for everybody. I will admit that. And maybe not everybody will be able to sit through it and not have their own... It's like we said at the beginning, everyone saw it in their own way. Yeah. I saw it as a thriller, you saw it as a bit of a horror aspect, and you saw it as a... noir detective story.
Yeah, as a pulpy Mike Hammer kind of detective story.
Mm-hmm. And realistically, it's all three rolled into one.
Yeah, and that's why it's everything folded just perfectly into each other, and you could take it either way and not look at someone and go, "You're wrong." Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, "You're totally right.
Yeah,
I didn't see it that way."
You're right.
And
Exactly.
We're like the Ninja Turtles, and he's right. Yeah, he's right. They're both right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's right. He's right.
I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, we could talk more about it, but I mean, there's only so much you can go through. And, again, we fortunately spoiled it all. I mean, this is not going to be a spoiler because it's already at the end if you've been listening to this for a while. I mean, overall, every single actor hit on point for me.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not really too much more to say.
I hesitate to say perfect movie, but perfect movie. It was a story. It was just, I mean, you just said it perfectly. On point. Everything was great. Every role was cast perfectly. Every actor portrayed them, great.
Like, I guess if you were to point out any little tiny things, it would be like, it would just be trimming fat at this point. Like, there need to be
certain side characters
two hours and 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't think
it's 57 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think you could. 50, I don't know where you could.
But I'm saying if you have to trim fat, I'm talking like seconds off of maybe scenes that are meant to build up tension, which for me, I'm fine because I'm used to that. Like I said, I watch movies like that and I enjoy movies like that where it's just a quiet moment of them walking around, looking around because it's building up tension or letting you soak in the environment. Like, I suppose if you're going to take off anything, it's like, all right, well, this runs for 30 seconds. We can drop it to 28. So it's like trimming like seconds off of scenes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can get rid of maybe 5 minutes tops of that movie.
No. You don't take any of that movie. I want that 5 minutes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you had to, I'd be like, I would look at them and be like, I could take off maybe 5 minutes. Like,
Oh, like if you had to.
10
like,
seconds
you know,
here and 5 seconds there and of someone walking into another room, I suppose. But I think it's perfect as is.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a,
And would
it's a
you
very,
feel like
very
when I
perfect
said
movie.
like it's not for
borderline
everybody?
perfect movie? Oh yeah, it's definitely not gonna be for everybody. Like I would say if
If you're a real, actual Batman fan that understands what Batman is,
you'll love this movie.
yes.
And not to say that some people that go watch the movies aren't, but
Yes.
a true cinemaphile, movie junkie style person
That too.
loves the cinema for cinema's sake. Like, just loves movies for how they're made, how they're told, the story, everything.
This is the kind of movie that I feel like the snooty directors that have been saying like, you know, comic book movies are just roller coaster rides. This is the one that's gonna make them see like, oh wait, no, comic book movies can be something different. This is like the the Dark Knight and Logan. It's one of those movies that comes around every like few years or so that makes you re-examine what the genre is about. Like, is it just a comic book movie or is it something that stands alone as a separate piece, but it just so happens to have comic book characters in it? And I would say it's that. It's a thriller that just happens to have a Batman skin over it.
I would say it's a story and a visual experience.
It's definitely an experience. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I like to say like story and visual experience. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're bored at any point, it's because you're a boring person.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Or you're just somebody who doesn't like slow scenes. Like if you don't like slow scenes, then
That's why I said this movie.
dragged
I
down
would
a
say
little bit.
in that aspect, as I went to go watch Blade Runner with you, I'm gonna keep referencing that because that's how I felt this movie, pacing wise, was like.
Yes, I can.
If you had trouble sitting through Blade Runner, although this one had a bit more high points, so it wasn't as slow as certain scenes from Blade Runner, but it has that feel. So if you can't sit through that, you might have trouble with this movie.
Yeah, the one I could feel the slowness in Blade Runner was the scene where he brings home the android and his hologram girlfriend like link up.
I would have thought when he went to the orphanage thing, he was walking
that
around.
one too. I forgot about that one.
There's a lot of walking around quiet parts right there.
Yeah, but this one, like, even in the quiet scenes, like, there's something going on that will catch your interest.
And it's usually detective scene. Like I said, it's one of the first Batman movies where it's detective stuff. So there's something going on. He's
so
looking
happy,
for
so
stuff.
pleased, so pleased.
And this is like it just makes you think to yourself, like, they could have been doing this for years. Like, they've always like strayed away from the detective aspect because I think they were too afraid that
They want it to be action. They want
Well, they're afraid they're going to lose the audience. And I'm like, hey, you know what? You
One of the
want
most-
the fans or do you want the average audience?
one of the most
Which, I mean,
popular
you could
genres.
argue.
Yeah, one of the most popular genres right now is true crime. So it's like, of course,
This fits that bill pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Because it feels like something that could actually happen. Well, maybe not the whole bombs at the riverbanks.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't know. Timothy McVeigh.
I don't know who that is.
He's the guy that blew up that building.
Okay.
I think.
I'll take your word for
I'm
it.
pretty sure. He's the one that blew up in... Oh, my God.
So-
I know this.
What do you think? Batman? Uncharted. Nah,
Oh,
I'm just playing with it.
That is a two different movies, sir. Like I would say Batman by like not just a mile, by like 20 miles, only because they're two totally different movies.
Like, let me put it this way. I did enjoy Uncharted for what it was, but it will not have as lasting power in my mind as Batman. I will probably be thinking about this movie tomorrow and then probably go watch it again. I will not go watch Uncharted again in theaters. No offense. It was okay, but I'll wait till it comes out on Netflix or something.
For No Way Home, I watched it 3 times in theaters. This one, I feel like I can actually legitimately watch like 4 or 5 times in theaters, just because I was that enthralled by the story.
Yeah.
And like, there are certain sequences I want to watch again. Like, I want to watch that scene when he he grapples. He hits his grapple gun onto the ledge, and he just like he walks down the beam.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was a cool shot. And then
it's all beautiful to watch. I mean, the red and the black that this movie really
The browns too. The browns.
Mhm.
Brown.
Yeah.
A lot of brown.
A lot of brown.
Sunsets. A lot of sunsets.
Well,
Sunrises, sunsets, everything.
And
Only
I love
one sunrise, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, there's a few, but I love the scene when he's in like he's pulling people out of the rubble and he's just like he's grimy, like he's been there all night. Like that's the Batman right there. That's the Batman from the comics. Like he's in the nitty gritty because he's like
He doesn't just check out because he's like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good time.
Yeah, he didn't stop. He kept helping. He gets that huge electric charge from slicing the scoreboard. Whatever
the wire. Yeah.
Some power
And
panel.
and he gets that shock. You can see like he gets fucked up from that. And then sorry, we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I should have asked that before. And he gets
It's
right
at
back
the
up,
end.
and
YouTube has
he
like a
goes,
2-minute thing. So you're good. You're
Okay.
well beyond that.
all right. And he's still slogging. He's like a fighter that's been working 24-hour shift. He's not done yet. The job still needs doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I enjoyed the movie, and I'm gonna go see it again.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, at some point. I'll watch it in the luxury seating where I can lay back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much all I get out of that one, huh? Yeah.
All right.
Comfort is everything.
Let us give our final wrap up on this, and then.
Yeah, it is a what?
Well, did we give a score? Did we give a grade?
Perfect.
Well, I just said like
10 out of
if
10.
I had to say anything right now, I was gonna say 10 out of 10. Perfect movie.
I would say
It's-
9.5 out of
it's
10.
it's a movie of the year thing for me so far.
9.5.
Yeah, 9.5.
You're just. What are you doing? What is that?
I don't like giving perfect 10s to anything because I don't know. I'm weird. Like I don't know. I have to watch it one more time, and then if there's anything I want to nitpick, then I can give my official score. But I would say it is definitely the closest to a 10 that I would ever.
How I would put it is, by first viewing, I had a great time.
Yes, me too.
Great
No
time.
matter what, there is nothing to dispute.
The only thing that
great
soured my experience in this was the people getting up
Yes.
and that one guy in the first 5 minutes. That's the only thing. Nothing about the movie soured my experience.
The perfect analogy right there.
Mm-hmm.
People, stay in your seats.
Yes.
Go
Pinch
pee
one
beforehand,
on, do
or-
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn, whatever you need to. Please stop getting up in the middle of
Once
it.
Or
you
else
drink
Jeff's
your
gonna
soda-
trip you like he did that one guy.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
Movie hasn't even
man.
started yet, so that's a giveaway.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You didn't do it on purpose.
No, he tripped over me, if anything. Right? And I'm over there. I stopped him from falling with one hand. All right, so I'm pretty.
You didn't
good.
get up though either. It's your fault.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You should have.
Well, as we saw later on, it was a bad thing if he had gotten up.
Yeah. My
You
phone.
dropped your phone. A lot of bad stuff.
Thank-
Luckily, it was before the movie started,
Yeah.
and nobody
Yeah.
was in there, so we
Yeah,
were able
nobody's
to
in
get
And I
it.
didn't have to worry about turning my phone off anymore because the battery popped out when I dropped it.
Exactly.
So was that good right there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was our pretty much bring back of an actual podcast in a while. So, and it was all strictly Batman, and hopefully you guys really enjoyed our thoughts and opinions and everything about it. Obviously, we were very happy to talk about how much we love the movie, which universally it's an actual 3 matchup thing where we all enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. And then I hope you guys enjoy the movie too. Like I said, this will come out. Hopefully, when
Day
this,
of,
you
I
will
imagine.
have seen the movie, and if you've gotten to this point and you have not seen the movie and you still listen to to
What
this
are we
point,
on now too on podcasts, by the way?
episodes?
No. What are you
sorry.
putting on?
Okay, so we are on
'Cause we switched it up.
Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and I think iHeartRadio as well. I have a service that just uploads everything for us.
And we will be putting
So-
this on YouTube. So if you see this,
Anchor too,
so if
so-
you're listening to this on YouTube, obviously you're gonna look for Nerdy Geeky Freaky.
Yeah, the NGF podcast page actually.
NGF.
Yeah. I will get started on the branding thing because we need to get better branding. And then if you enjoyed the movie, please let us know in the comments and let us know what your favorite moment of the movie was, what you think of Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz and Paul Dano as the Riddler and all that stuff.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Let us know who the standout character was. if there's anything you didn't like about the movie, so we could call you stupid. And
Hey,
that's fine.
whoa.
I'm
Solid
playing. I'm
taste.
joking. I'm joking.
How your parents failed in raising you.
There you go. All right.
I am
Wow,
joking.
thanks for listening.
No,
I'm not
I
joking.
really-
if you
I
don't like this
legit-
movie, you're a bad person.
I legitimately want to know what your guys' thoughts are. If you didn't like it,
Yeah.
for why. You didn't
Again,
like
everyone
it.
has their own opinion, as we
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
And they're wrong.
It hit us on different notes, but we all liked it all in our own ways.
Yes.
But again, thanks for listening. And this is the NGF podcast, and with us as always,
I'm Mike.
and our guest
Jeff.
Jeff. Hopefully, we'll see you back again.
I would like to be. Yeah.
To keep getting you back, and we'll get Will back on here at some point.
Yes, we will.
And my name's Adrian, and thank you for listening to our podcast. And we'll catch you all later.